One of the things I like and dislike about this current world we have is there are a lot of dudes in this society. I'm sure women too, but I'm not going to speak for women right now. There are a lot of dudes in our society who grew up without a good father or a good male influence in their lives. And when you get older, man, you need that direction. You need help. So I don't like that part. But here's one part I do like. I do like that there are people out there, readily available people out there that are offering these lessons men need, lessons a lot of men didn't get through no fault of their own, lessons that are going to help us all be a little bit better. One of the best accounts out there, if you're on social media, on Twitter, and I'd highly recommend his Substack for this kind of stuff, not politics, just more life stuff, is Ed Latimore, former heavyweight boxer who will punch your head off your shoulders. And you can also find him at edlatimore.substack.com. Ed, first of all, who are you and where'd you come from?
Man, so I'm Ed Latimore. You hear me loud and clear?
Got you loud and clear.
Just making sure. I'm Ed Latimore, man, and I came from another human just like the rest of us, and I was born in Pittsburgh, PA, grew up there. Typical kind of at-risk youth, childhood, single mom, public housing, all the whole nine, and I faced a lot of those issues that you were talking about. And you figured things out through a lot of hard work, a lot of events, putting myself into these difficult positions, because I think one of the things that you don't get when you don't have a masculine influence around or in the house or anything positive really like that, of a masculine nature, you don't realize the necessity of pushing yourself and getting uncomfortable and really seeing what you're made of, but not in a way where it's like, I see a lot of the stuff that's online today where it talks about this idea of getting out of your comfort zone, being pushed to you uncomfortable, but it's like, nah, it's one thing to do it consciously. You're not going to push hard. It's a totally different story when you're in the ring or when you're in the street or you're figuring out how to feed yourself, that kind of stuff. So I picked all that up, and I really think I've turned into a certainly someone that is, you could do worse in terms of people to listen to. I think I have a lot of good things to say. At the very least, what I try to do is live a good life for myself and everyone else. If they follow that example, I think they'll turn out pretty well.
Yeah, no, you're one of the better ones for that kind of stuff. Ed, you talk about making yourself uncomfortable a lot, especially as a man. Explain that to me. Why should I want that, Ed? I don't want to be uncomfortable. As soon as I'm done and I take this earpiece out of my ear, I want to throw on some sweats and I want to sit down with the pizza and I want to put my feet up on the couch. I don't want to be uncomfortable. Why do you want me to be uncomfortable?
So that's not. First of all, there's nothing wrong with feeling that way. That's how we're designed. The way I learned to say it, the most general way in physics, is that all organisms seek the most energy efficient configuration, i.e., we try to get as most for as little as we can put out. But there's no, if you only do that, there's only so much you can get. You'll get just enough to survive, and that's pretty much it. And yeah, look, survival is easy, and it's gotten even easier. Like, there's a lot of people alive today who are only here, because fresh drinking water is never more than 15 minutes away. It's not a very hard life, but you need to be exposed to these difficulties. You need to break out of that homeostatic kind of comfort zone to become more capable and more efficient. Because look, life will get harder. That's one thing that is like very clear, that whatever you're doing at 20 or however you're living, it's harder than it was to do at 15. And you don't really know. But then when you turn 25, you look and see, oh man, some of these cats I went to school with, they're all good, they got money, they're living, but not everybody. And so you can kind of ignore that. But by 30, it's like, ooh, we're bad. And by 35, it's nuts. And after that, you just kind of disappear, and you're stuck in your ways, unless you shake yourself out of that comfort. And that means you have to do things by definition that are difficult, because it's not in that zone of energy efficiency. Like something basic that everyone uses as an example, but it's very true and illustrates the point well. Going to the gym and building your body up Well, it really is awesome to just sit around I mean, I don't think it's awesome anymore. It makes me sick to think about it. But at some point, uh, a lot of us think it's awesome, or thinks it's awesome, or thought it was awesome to chill out, watch Netflix all day, and eat junk food and drink soda or beer or whatever your poison is. Well, but okay, but you're gonna get older. Your body is gonna degrade. It's going to start breaking down against time, against gravity, just against the forces of life. And if you don't build that up, right, you'll end up spending your last years, which will be shorter, by the way. You won't have as many. You end up spending them sick. It's the same if you don't work and develop a skill. It's very easy to just be stupid. Very easy. Being stupid doesn't really pay well, so you probably should not be as stupid as you can be, unless you're like a great athlete, and even then you might do something dumb. But that's a scenario too. You still have to work very hard. There's no way around this if you want to have anything that resembles a nice time on this planet. And you only got what, 70, 80 years? You know, hopefully they're nice. They're a good time. You're not suffering, you know.
Ed, rites of passage. You talk about this, you've written about this. Rites of passage, why does that matter?
Because you have to be, look, when you're a kid, being a kid is cool because you get to you get to go take risk, and it's kind of assumed that you don't know what you're doing. And not only assumed, I mean, you really don't. That's what parents are for. They're there to go, oh, that's a really bad idea. You shouldn't do that. And if it's too bad of an idea, not only tell you not to, but then correctively change your mind about it in the future or dissuade you with some type of discipline. That's the idea. That's what parents do. Well, there comes a point where you're not going to have that parental guidance. Now, society recognizes this at age 18. At that point, you're charged as an adult if you commit a crime. There's the debate out there that we should extend that out, or at least give some consideration, because the prefrontal cortex, that part of your brain that says, yo, the future's coming and we probably should not do this or do this, is not fully formed to your 25. But you're not really an adult until a certain point by society's legal standards. But there comes a point where you have autonomy, and autonomy comes with more freedom, but it also comes with responsibilities, and you're no longer shielded from the consequences of the dumb stuff you do. You have to eat the whole thing. Back in the day, they actually used to, if the crime's heinous enough, they will charge you as an adult. And I just like going there because I want to compare the legal system to how we look at this, and maybe where they got the idea from. What a rite of passage does, in theory, is that it exposes the child to an event that will force them to become an adult. If not legally, then certainly in, we'll say, conduct, okay? Where people will look at you and go, you know better, now we'll treat you as if someone who knows better. You no longer get to hide behind innocence. The lack of exposure to consequences and the tough parts of life. So we all need the type of rite of passage. We all need to figure out how to struggle and survive on our own. One of the debates I've gotten into repeatedly on social media is about the idea of when should a child move out of their parents' home? And I've heard all types of arguments on different sides of it. And some of them, and then they're good points they make. But ultimately, what I go with is that at some point, a child has to learn has to learn survival. It's not about getting out and being completely comfortable. Because if your parents are any type of people, they're not going to let you fail completely. But you should probably believe they will. And that will motivate you to make the right decisions and things like that, as in regards to little basic things like finances, cleaning your house, paying the rent all on time, little stuff like that. Simple rite of passage for society. But here's where we're at. People are arguing with me that that's a bad idea. You should let your kids stay until they're completely ready to get out on their own. And once again, I'm not saying, boot them out at 18, get out, go figure it out, you'll fly. But at the same time, the idea that they can just stay until they're ready and comfortable to move on, this comfort idea, we're so obsessed with the idea that things shouldn't hurt. And that anytime there's pain, that means that we made a wrong decision. And in the short term, perhaps that is correct, like in the pure sense of the word of what pain is, but it's a necessary decision. You know, you got to get your lumps. It's like there's certain stoves you have to touch to know they're hot. And it doesn't matter how many times someone tells you they're hot or how tough the calluses you get on your hands are. Somehow you have to touch them and go, that's just not smart. And part of that's part of growth. You know, John Haidt, John Haidt has a great stuff with Dr. John Haidt about the coddling of the American mind and how, you know, more or less the TLDR, kids aren't taking risks anymore. They're not going on dates. They're not getting their driver's licenses. They're not socializing. You know, we got 27% of men under the age of 30 who are virgins. And how does that happen? That happens, you know, because look, man, you could, to keep it PG and television friendly, there's somebody for everybody, right? but it's a lot easier, you know, with the internet and all of the artificial intercourse that you can see, to not do that, to shield yourself from taking these risks and getting uncomfortable, getting rejected, that kind of thing. Working on your body, improving your finances. The whole thing is a mess.
Ed Latimore, you are the best, man. Go subscribe to his Substack. I appreciate you, brother.
Hey, thank you for having me, man.